Hey there, Lauren Elizabeth. I'm here to talk about surrender, the term surrender, the term let go, the term allow. Um, I've been hearing that. I've been working through that. And yet, when I look back on the many times that people have told me, hey, just let go, just surrender. All you gotta do is surrender, and everything will be good. I'm like, what the hell? How do you do that? I don't get it. So I just want to walk through an example. So for me, one of the one of the biggest things I've learned through this journey of healing that I've been on for who knows how long, a couple of years now, was letting go of control. I'm in a much better place than I was about control. I do still have some lingering things, specifically related to letting the universe do whatever's going to happen. But my issues and wounds around control were I was very controlling. Um, I didn't really see myself as controlling until I really started to look at it. What I saw it as was I was organized. I was a really good planner. I was always on time. And those are really good things to work with in life because they help you get through things. I'm a divorced woman with 4 children, so being organized is very helpful. In the work I did for years and years, for 20 plus years, I was in a lot of project management roles. I was in the financial services industry, and a lot of project management roles, a lot of working with clients, client-facing things. Again, organization, planning, all those things came in really well, and I excelled at that. I was really good at what I did. I was sought after for that, and that was all well and good, and it all served its purpose. Where it went downhill was in examples with my children or with my ex-husband or friends or whatever. In that, if things went off plan, I lost my shit. So if we weren't ready for Thanksgiving to walk out the door at X time because that's what time we say we're gonna, and everybody's clothes weren't ready and you weren't ironed and da da da, so then mom starts losing it. And what for? I mean, I have 4 kids. They're all different kids. I see this now. At the time, it was, no, we got to get out the door. We got to. Well, I have 2 kids that could care less about ironing their clothes, and 2 kids that wanted to. And why do they need to iron their clothes? Why do they need to dress up? Why do they need to do these things? So, but they did because that was the expectation of. I guess I had built into that expectation, or I bought into that expectation that it's a holiday, everybody has to dress up, everybody has to do this, everybody has to do that. A lot of my issues with control center around you have to do this because of that. You have to go to college because that's the only way you're going to get a job. You have to go to church on Sunday because we're Catholic. You have to, I don't know, be on time for everything, which I think is that's kind of a, I don't know, I guess it's give and take. Do you really have to be on time? I don't know. What's on time? Who knows? But anyway, so as I started to look really into this control piece, I could see it. I could see what I had done to not only myself, but my kids. So for me, I got to the point where I couldn't handle it if it went off book, if it went off plan. In that, I would immediately get, and I remember this from when I was little. I remember my mother saying, if things don't go your way, you flip out. And I was like, well, I don't even know what you're talking about, Mom. What do you mean my way? But that's what it was. And so then, we could go from a morning, we could get to wherever our destination is. I'm sticking with the Thanksgiving theme. We could get to where our destination was, and I was already or in the car, I'm already aggravated at them all. I'm not even letting them enjoy them being together in the car and talking and laughing and giving each other shit and all this other stuff, I'm like, be quiet, and then as soon as we get there, I'm like, I need a drink, I need to relax. Oh, these kids are stressing me out. Everything, like all of that is just for what? For what? What was the purpose of that? So now the kids are aggravated and afraid to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, or just avoiding me, which is even worse because now they're in the other room. They don't even want to be near me. This is a day we're all supposed to be together. And I know this is an easy example, but this played out all the time in everything every day, whether it was getting to school, having dinner, my kids all play sports, so it was, it's just easier to talk through the example of Thanksgiving because it's a little bit quieter or whatever. So that's where I was. I was that person, and I know my kids got to the point where they were would try to anticipate what I would think, say, or do. They would avoid me. They were, and in some cases, they were like, F you, and they would, purposely try to piss me off. Why wouldn't they? Because I was kind of, I had this cap on them. I had this control over them. I didn't see it as that. I didn't go in like, I need to control these kids. I need to da-da-da. It was, just what I had become. I had become someone who had to have control of everything. I thought because that was the only way that I could be successful. But what it really was it was the only way I could feel safe. And I don't mean from violence or anything like that, but I felt safe in my body, so I didn't feel that anxiety. So I feel the anxiety here. That's where I feel it, anxiety. So fast forward a little bit. Once I recognized that, I started looking into, okay, why? Why do I feel that I need to control everything? And again, it was a little difficult because, like I said, the planning and the organization and the beneficial pieces of control helped me out in a lot of ways. All through work. That's what I did. Although, come to find out, I wasn't fulfilled in that work, even though I was very successful and did it very well. Anyway, go back to, now I try to look back and what is the source? Why do I feel like I need to control everything? And it really does go back. This isn't my wounds of childhood, my inner child wounds. And yet it is. And the reason I say that is because we learn, when we're children, we just absorb what's going on. We observe from our parents, our siblings if we have them, our friends, our family, our school, when we go to school, our teachers. And what do we learn? We learn what's expected of us. And for some of us who are in families that there isn't a lot of space for personal voicing of opinions, what happens is your voice as a child gets squashed and it doesn't get heard, and I didn't feel seen. And I say this as I had a very I was very lucky growing up. I had a single mom. She killed herself to take care of me, and she did a wonderful job. She did the best she could with what she had, and I mean, I'm very successful. Everything's great. I wasn't abused. It was none of that. It's just that the circumstances that I grew up in, I didn't have opportunity to voice what was in my heart. Or if I did voice it, it was kind of dismissed. I didn't have a lot of friends when I was young. My friends were my mom's friends. So again, being in that environment, you kind of just absorb. I guess I absorbed early on expectations of the real world, and what you need to do what needs to be done, all the going to work, all that stuff. And I really I do remember thinking back on my childhood, and I don't feel like I had that voice, I remember I would say all the time, who am I, who am I, who am I? And I would sit around and go, who am I, what am I supposed to do? And just not having any idea. In no way, nobody really to bounce that off of. So for sure, what I ended up doing was I fell back on the skills that I came into this life with. So for me, that was, and I'm going to get into this in other videos, but for me, if I look at my South Node in my astrology chart, that South Node is what you are mastered, what you've mastered in other lives, and what you came into this life already knowing. All that for me is all the organization, all the planning, all that stuff, all of it. So I fell back to that, and that's what I ended up doing, even with high school jobs, and then when I got older, and the control piece came in so early because the only thing I could do was to get my voice out there was to organize and plan something. So I would do that. And then you start getting accolades for it. And then it becomes, or became, who I was. So that's who I was. So now at this point, having, I wasn't into sports a lot. I wasn't, I didn't have trophies of stuff. I didn't have a dad present in my life mostly. So I didn't have those pats on the backs until I was much older, till I was in the work environment. So now I start getting these pats on my back, and now this is who I have become. If I am not organized and planning something, then I'm a failure. Again, I didn't think of this going through this. I'm looking back at it now. So that's how it became who I was. And then anything outside of that became a failure in the opposite sense of it, right? So if something didn't go my way, then I would lose it. And that's how I voiced myself, I guess. That's what it seemed like. So that played out for my whole entire marriage. Through, my children are between 22 and 14, so I have four children between those ages. It played out most of their life. I see it in them. I see it in, certainly my oldest, and I see it in certain places. Or what I see is that the impact that it has had on my children. So some have taken on that as well and are hyper organized to the point of really can't handling anything that goes outside of their expectations. To other children who kind of rebelled from it and changed their course of what they were doing because they wanted nothing to do with that kind of control. And there were some sad examples of that for them. So anyway, the impact is just not on yourself. Just realize this, that the impact does affect your children. So here I am. I know I came into this. I know that my parents had pieces of this that helped kind of cement this characteristic onto me. And then as I experienced things throughout life, it was cemented even more and cemented even more. So you could say that control was programmed into my being, into who I was, and it's who I became. So now what do you do about it? Right? So, okay, now this is when the whole, just let go, just allow, that's just not easy when it's such a deep part of your fiber and being, and your cells, your DNA. It's who I was. Literally, viscerally, I could feel it if things weren't going the way they were, quote, supposed to. I could feel it physically. So that was the biggest, and probably still is the biggest, or at least is the trigger for me. I can feel it and I can recognize it, and I'm like, whoa, why am I trying to control the situation? I can't, and so I'll move on. But to get there was quite a challenge. The examples of, so I really started with my children. Really started slowly, little by little. I just started to peel back certain things. So it was, you have to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you have to have these snacks at this time. You're a hockey player. You have to do this. You have to be healthy. You have to sleep. You have to go to bed. You can't go out with your friends because you have a game tomorrow at 5 p.m., so you can't go out tonight. And like all these things. Again, from a space that I thought I was helping. I really did think I was helping. But at the end of the day, so that made one child actually leave hockey because of all that. So at the end of the day, as I'm looking at my third, who's now on the third child that's on hockey, I'm like, why am I doing that? So what if he doesn't want to play? So what if he's not good? So what? So what? So what if he's on the ice and he's dragging his feet because he didn't sleep last night, or because he didn't eat X amount of time before the game, and he didn't eat the right thing, and all this stuff? So what? That has nothing to do with me, except that, you think it does. Is, oh, my kid's not playing good, and oh, my kid's, fuck that. Who cares? Who cares? It's his life or her life. Let them, I'm not saying let your kids starve. Obviously, you have to teach, that part of being a parent is to teach them healthy food habits, but there's so many different things out there. So an example of that is, what if my kid wants to be a vegetarian? I wouldn't even know how to help them through that. So really letting their voice be heard is, and it's not easy. It's not like I woke up one day and I was like, oh, all bets off. You guys can go do what you want to do. No, it was slow, little pieces, little things at a time, little things that I could look at and say, and this is what I would do. I would say, does it really matter if they left their shoes there, over here, when I want them over there? I want all the shoes over there today. What's the fucking difference? What is the difference? If you leave your shoes over there and they make a mess, then you're responsible to pick it up. So so that was the interplay. I still had my boundaries. I still had things that were important to me. I don't want to walk into a house and step over shoes. I don't want to walk into a house with dirt and mud everywhere. My house, that's what I want. So whatever you need to do to make that happen, take your shoes to your room, clean up your shoes, or put them over there where I suggested you put them. But it's your choice. So it's little things like that, and I know, that quite literally is one of the examples. And then it's everything else, right? Dishes. You don't want to put the dishes in the dishwasher, then you can't use the dishes. You gotta, have a paper plate or something. Or, by the end of it, let's change it from, every dish, as soon as you eat, has to be moved from the table to the dishwasher, to, by the time you go to bed, your dishes have to be in the dishwasher. So it's little things like that. It's looking at what is really important. Why do I want that thing to happen that way? Is it life-threatening? Is it just for my own ease? And there's something to look at that, right? Why does it make me feel easy? It goes back to the control. It goes back to whatever. So again, these are just some little examples that happened to me in my life. Everybody's going to be different. But taking the little steps will then lead to the next bigger steps, because the more you ask, why do I need to control this? Is this a priority for me? And if you say yes, further, why is this a priority? Is this a priority because it's expected that I have an immaculately perfect, beautiful house so that I could post things on Facebook, or so that if someone comes over, and how many people really come over? How many fucking people really come over to your house all the time? Why is it a priority? And if it's a priority for a reason that you truly believe in and that is truly, truly important, then I guess hold on to it. And even if you can't let it go right now, kind of put it in the back of your head and say, maybe I'll address that later. I can't let that go right now. But look at the next thing. Look at the easy things. Look at the things that you can let go. And trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. You can let the stuff go. I've let so much go. I look at my life and I can't believe the things I held on to as important. And it was all because of control. It was all because I thought that I needed to X, Y, and Z, whatever it was, all those things. So what happens when you let that stuff go? The freedom is unreal. You're not tied to things that just don't fucking matter. Your kids can start being who they are. They can start, I have 4 kids. None of them are the same. And I was trying to put them in the box because they needed to be in a box, because that's how I need to raise these great children. And they are great children. And they will be great children. If they can be who they are. So the freedom is just, it is the most important thing, or the most impactful thing that I have looked at in my entire healing process. It releases anxiety. It gives you perspective. Now that you've let go of control, you have more time to do things. You have more time to think, which is, I know, it's not easy. It's not easy to sit and think and go within. It's just not. And yet realize that anything you've done in the past, from this second that you're watching this beyond, is a life lesson. Think of it as a life lesson. It's not a sin. It's not even really a mistake. It's a life lesson. Even if you've hurt yourself, even if you've hurt people, and that is not easy. It's not easy to look at yourself when you know that thing. So for me, and in this situation, control, hurt other people. I know it impacted my relationships, it impacted my marriage, it impacted my children. And it's hard to look at something when it's something about yourself, when you know it's impacted other people. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Because when you do, and you can get to the point where you start letting it go, releasing it, forgiving yourself for it, the freedom and the peace that comes with it, I get chills just saying it. It's untouchable. And then what you've now done is you've just emptied your cup a little bit over here. So now you can fill it up over here. More things can come in and fill it up. And to me, having room for things that are on a higher vibration than control, which leads to anger, sadness, upsetness, anxiety, blah, all that stuff, all low vibration. If you have room in your cup, up over here, then better things can come in. and better things are coming in for me and for my kids. And one of the biggest things that's come out of letting go of control is trust. Trusting myself, trusting other people, that because I wanted something one way doesn't mean you're wrong, just means that I wanted it this way. Trusting the universe, that the universe is always got my back, and that everything will be okay. So that's just my journey through control. Like I said, I'm not cured of control. I still get, just yesterday it happened again. I reacted, or started to react. I started to react. I didn't actually voice the reaction, but I started to react, and I was like, whoa, I don't like this feeling. What is this? Because your vibration, your energy, your peace, your happiness, whatever terms you want to put on it, it goes up when you start letting these heavy things go. So then you recognize them right away. You're like, whoa, what is this? And you don't always know. Sometimes I'll write down, I'll be like, why the fuck did I do this? And I don't figure it out till later, or the next day, or whatever, weeks later, it doesn't matter. But if you recognize it and you kind of go, oh, I'm not gonna send that text, or I'm just gonna say, okay, thank you. That's it. That's another thing. Be grateful. Be grateful for these lessons. They will. You will find a way to be grateful. You will. I promise. So I want to leave you with something that, and it's interesting that I picked this as this first topic, control. It was years, maybe 3 years before I separated from my husband. So this is probably going on about 6 years ago. And I was in a yoga class in Aruba. And it was outside, it was beautiful, it was covered, but you can see the sunrise coming up. And at the end of the class, the teacher read this poem by Sapphire Rose, who's a reverend, I think. And this poem really, I think, was the catalyst to my healing journey, although it really didn't kick into force till probably about January of 2017, actually. So this was probably about 3 years before that. And I refer to this, I read this often. I have on, I think it's YouTube or something, or Insight Time or something like that, there's some people that actually read this poem, and sometimes I'll go to sleep to it or wake up to it, and it really, it's just beautiful. So, She Just Let Go by Sapphire Rose. She let go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons. Wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry, she just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and of all the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her daytimer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore.